Captain James Reed adjusted his dress uniform one final time, while the transport shuttle docked at Forward Operating Base Serenity, a remote frontier headquarters that looked like someone had optimistically decided that converted cargo containers could serve as diplomatic facilities if arranged with sufficient military precision and creative interior design that prioritized function over comfort in the contested border zones. The base floated in the tense boundary space between human territories and the Zephyrian Collective, serving as a crucial monitoring station where officers from both species maintained the kind of careful professional cooperation that felt like performing diplomacy at gunpoint, while everyone pretended that renewed warfare wasn't one administrative mistake away from reality. "Captain Reed, reporting for duty," James announced to the duty sergeant, who processed his arrival with the mechanical efficiency that made routine assignments feel like potential catalysts for interstellar incidents, requiring extensive documentation and careful diplomatic management. His assignment as logistics coordinator carried significant responsibility for managing supply chains that could determine whether the fragile ceasefire held together long enough for proper peace negotiations to achieve lasting cooperation between civilizations that had spent decades perfecting the art of creative warfare, before discovering that actually ending conflicts required different skills entirely. "Welcome to Serenity Base," Colonel Martinez said with the practiced enthusiasm of someone who'd learned to make frontier assignments sound like career opportunities rather than potential death sentences disguised as routine military postings. "Your logistics expertise will be essential for maintaining our joint operations with Zephyrian forces, assuming you're prepared for some creative interpretations of standard military protocols." The briefing materials had contained surprisingly little specific information about operational requirements, though James was beginning to suspect that frontier assignments involved more improvisation than his military education had prepared him for, particularly when cooperation between former enemies required inventing new procedures faster than official channels could approve them. "Sir, I should mention that my preparation focused on standard human military logistics," James said carefully. "My experience with interspecies cooperation is somewhat limited to theoretical scenarios rather than practical application in active frontier environments." Colonel Martinez's expression suggested familiarity with officers who discovered that frontier reality exceeded theoretical preparation by margins that could be measured in survival rates rather than career advancement opportunities. "That's why we've arranged for you to work with a co-guardian under the experimental treaty provisions. Think of it as intensive on-the-job training with built-in cultural exchange components." The term co-guardian sounded like either diplomatic innovation or administrative confusion wrapped in bureaucratic language, designed to make experimental procedures sound like established policy rather than desperate improvisation in response to situations no one had adequately planned for. "Your partner is Lieutenant Zara Velthane," Colonel Martinez continued, gesturing toward a Zephyrian officer whose crystalline features and elongated ears created an impression of someone who noticed everything while revealing nothing about her own thoughts or analytical processes. "The co-guardian protocol involves linked biometric systems that make you jointly responsible for each other's actions under local military law." James felt his career prospects shifting into territory that personnel manuals hadn't covered during his logistics training, while Lieutenant Zara observed their introduction with interest that seemed to extend beyond standard diplomatic courtesy into realms of professional evaluation that suggested experience with assessing people's capabilities and potential reliability under operational pressure. "Captain Reed," she said with the precise pronunciation that made Zephyrian speech sound like expensive music performed by cosmic orchestras, "I look forward to our cooperative assignment. The co-guardian system should facilitate efficient coordination between our respective operational methodologies. Their handshake activated biometric scanners that apparently registered their partnership through automated systems, designed to link their security clearances and operational authority in ways that could enhance their effectiveness, while simultaneously making them vulnerable to shared responsibility for decisions that might have significant political consequences. The biometric linking, Colonel Martinez explained, grants you shared access to base operations while creating joint liability for security protocols. Think of it as mutual insurance that encourages careful decision-making and close cooperation between partners who need to trust each other completely. James reviewed his new quarters assignment, which apparently included accommodation modifications to support interspecies living arrangements that neither his training nor personal experience had prepared him to navigate successfully. The Co-Guardian Protocol seemed to involve more comprehensive partnership than simple professional cooperation. As he began reviewing base logistics operations, James noticed subtle inconsistencies in supply requisitions and personnel transfers that suggested either creative administrative efficiency or systematic circumvention of oversight procedures, designed to maintain security in environments where mistakes could restart warfare between species still learning to trust each other. Lieutenant Zara's attention to his work seemed focused on aspects of logistics operations that extended beyond routine supply chain management into areas that might indicate security concerns requiring investigation by officers with appropriate clearance and analytical training in detecting systematic irregularities. Their partnership assignment was beginning to suggest complexities that extended beyond simple military cooperation into realms that could determine whether frontier peace held together or collapsed into renewed conflict that would benefit no one except those who profited from systematic instability, rather than achieved cooperation between civilizations capable of remarkable partnership, when not undermined by forces that preferred profitable chaos to lasting peace. The supply manifests contain interesting discrepancies, Lieutenant Zara observed, while reviewing James's logistics reports with attention that suggested training in security analysis rather than routine administrative cooperation. Equipment allocations and personnel transfers follow patterns inconsistent with standard frontier operations, designed to maintain peaceful cooperation between former adversaries. James spread the documentation across their shared workspace, noting how the Co-Guardian Protocol had automatically granted them access to integrated databases that revealed operational details neither species typically shared with individual officers below command level. These transfer orders look legitimate individually, but when you examine them collectively, they create security vulnerabilities that seem deliberately designed to bypass oversight procedures. Their biometric linking had activated systems that felt more sophisticated than simple administrative convenience, creating shared access to personnel records and security protocols that painted a concerning picture of base operations that didn't match official reports about successful interspecies cooperation and frontier stability. Captain Reed, Lieutenant Zara said with careful precision that suggested delicate topics requiring diplomatic handling, I should inform you that my assignment as your co-guardian wasn't entirely random diplomatic pairing. Certain Zephyrian reformers suspected systematic corruption at frontier installations and positioned me to investigate potential security compromises. James felt his understanding of their partnership shifting from routine logistics cooperation into territory that personnel manuals categorized under need-to-know intelligence operations, rather than standard military assignments designed to facilitate peaceful cooperation between species working toward lasting peace agreements. My transfer orders, he realized while reviewing the documentation with new perspective, may have been forged to provide cover for smuggling operations using my security clearance and logistics access. Someone wanted a logistics coordinator who wouldn't immediately recognize sophisticated supply chain manipulation. But through their shared access systems, they discovered evidence of systematic manipulation that extended beyond routine corruption into deliberate sabotage of frontier security, designed to create justification for renewed military contracts that profited from instability, rather than achieved cooperation between species that had demonstrated remarkable potential for partnership. The lattice bomb, Lieutenant Zara announced while examining concealed cargo within routine supply shipments, represents sophisticated explosive technology that could devastate base defenses while providing plausible cover for accusations of sabotage, designed to restart hostilities between our governments. James traced the supply chain modifications that had enabled unauthorized weapons to reach the base through channels that should have detected and prevented such security breaches, while Lieutenant Zara's intelligence training allowed her to identify the specific techniques used to circumvent both human and Zephyrian security protocols. This conspiracy, she continued with growing concern, appears designed to frame us as perpetrators of sabotage, while eliminating the evidence of systematic corruption that has been undermining frontier cooperation for corporate profit rather than legitimate security needs. The Co-Guardian Protocol had linked their biometric signatures in ways that made them legally responsible for each other's actions, while granting them shared authority over base operations, creating a partnership that could either enhance their investigative capabilities or provide convenient scapegoats for systematic sabotage designed to restart profitable warfare. Our shared living arrangements, James discovered while reviewing accommodation assignments, aren't simply diplomatic innovation but operational necessity for maintaining security during investigation of conspiracy that reaches multiple levels of frontier command structure. The comic relief emerged through their attempts to navigate cultural requirements that included synchronized duty schedules and shared meal preparation, creating personal dynamics that complicated professional investigation, while they learned that interspecies cooperation involved more comprehensive lifestyle integration than either of their military educations had adequately prepared them for. Zephyrian rest cycles, Lieutenant Zara explained with amusement that couldn't quite mask underlying tension about their security situation, involve meditative practices that your human sleep patterns seem to disrupt, though I'm discovering that your species' unconscious vocalizations create harmonic frequencies that produce unexpectedly calming effects. Through their investigation, they realized that their co-guardian assignment represented both the conspiracy's attempt to create convenient blame targets and the reformers' strategy for positioning investigators capable of exposing systematic corruption that threatened not just frontier security, but the broader peace process between civilizations learning to trust each other. The authentication deadline, Lieutenant Zara noted with growing urgency, approaches at dawn through protocols that will either legitimize our partnership and grant us authority to broadcast evidence, or allow the conspiracy to frame us for sabotage that justifies renewed warfare serving corporate interests rather than civilian security. Their shared access revealed coordination between human defense contractors and Zephyrian military suppliers that treated frontier cooperation as cover for arms trafficking and systematic destabilization, designed to maintain profitable military tension, rather than achieved peace between species capable of remarkable cooperation, when not undermined by forces that profited from artificial conflict. External surveillance indicated that multiple factions had begun positioning themselves around critical base areas, with movements suggesting preparation for operations designed to eliminate inconvenient witnesses before co-guardian authority could threaten arrangements that had been generating massive profits from systematic frontier instability. The weight of cosmic decision settled around them like gravity remembering its most diplomatic responsibilities, while thousands of frontier personnel remained vulnerable to systematic sabotage, disguised as routine military operations that served contractor interests rather than the peaceful cooperation both civilizations desperately needed for successful frontier development and lasting security. The Co-Guardian Protocol's integration systems transformed James and Lieutenant Zara's partnership into something resembling a two-person counterintelligence operation specializing in frontier corruption, complete with shared operational awareness that made processing security data feel like collaborative analysis between someone who understood how military logistics were supposed to support peace, and someone who understood how intelligence networks were designed to detect threats, but had been compromised by systematic sabotage. Their combined capabilities flowed like synchronized security protocols, allowing them to examine evidence with human supply chain expertise and Zephyrian intelligence methodology. Base Commander Martinez's Frontier Logistics Protocols, Lieutenant Zara observed through their shared access, demonstrate remarkable creativity in destabilization engineering. I'm reviewing security reports that claim cooperation improvements while actually documenting sabotage procedures, designed to create frontier problems, requiring premium military intervention services that generate massive profits while peace remains systematically undermined. James felt their operational awareness merging in ways that made distinguishing between his analysis and hers an increasingly academic exercise. The evidence revealed systematic coordination that extended far beyond simple smuggling operations. Frontier military cooperation had been deliberately compromised through personnel transfers that placed compromised officers in key positions. Security protocols had been altered to create vulnerabilities that facilitated unauthorized access, and even routine supply operations had been manipulated to provide cover for activities that served corporate interests rather than frontier security. Through Lieutenant Zara's intelligence access, James discovered hidden communication networks revealing that frontier cooperation had been systematically undermined whenever genuine progress threatened to eliminate justification for military interventions. The security problems weren't accidental operational failures, but carefully maintained business opportunities. With both species, frontier welfare sacrificed for defense contractor profits that measured success by ongoing instability rather than achieved cooperation. Minister Kexran's military contracts, James realized through their shared investigation, operate on manufactured crisis principles. His company creates cooperation problems through deliberate sabotage, then charges premium rates for military solutions to security crises they systematically cause, while preventing sustainable frontier partnerships that would actually enhance security, instead of generating ongoing revenue streams from artificial instability. The danger escalated as their investigation attracted attention from multiple conspiracy beneficiaries. Human corporate security forces had begun subtle repositioning around base command areas, while Zephyrian court operatives moved with careful precision that suggested preparation for operations designed to eliminate inconvenient witnesses before Co-Guardian authority could threaten profitable status quo arrangements built on systematic frontier sabotage. Their cultural integration continued as they navigated the intimate requirements of shared operational consciousness during conspiracy investigation. James discovered that Zephyrian problem-solving involved systematic threat assessment that his human logistics instincts seemed to complement, while Lieutenant Zara learned that human supply chain analysis operated through pattern recognition that her intelligence training had prepared her to appreciate and utilize effectively. Your analytical patterns, she noted with scientific fascination, create solution pathways that combine systematic logistics with intuitive security assessment. The cognitive approach suggests your species developed operational intelligence through direct interaction with supply chain vulnerabilities, rather than theoretical security frameworks designed to prevent problems through administrative procedures that maintain profitable inefficiency. Through their bond, James experienced Zephyrian intelligence processing that made human security analysis seem like straightforward applications of sophisticated threat assessment instruments. Lieutenant Zara discovered that human practical thinking operated through systematic evaluation that identified exploitation. Her intelligence education had trained her to recognize and counteract effectively. The conspiracy evidence revealed coordination that reached beyond simple profit motive into deliberate cooperation manipulation, designed to maintain what Martinez and Kexrin called sustainable frontier instability management. Military cooperation systems had been designed to succeed just enough to maintain plausible cooperation, while failing systematically enough to justify ongoing intervention contracts that generated massive revenue from frontier security rather than achieved partnership. The artificial cooperation failures, Lieutenant Zara explained through their connection, weren't accidental operational breakdowns. Frontier security was coordinated to create problems that increased military response requirements while generating revenue for defense services, threat assessment, and extended security management contracts that somehow never quite established sustainable cooperation between our species. External surveillance increased as both human and Zephyrian forces prepared for authentication deadline operations. Through their shared awareness, they tracked movement patterns that suggested coordinated planning between supposed frontier competitors, proving the conspiracy reached operational levels of both security services that were supposed to protect frontier cooperation rather than systematically undermine it. The base's military activity proceeded around them with mechanical efficiency that couldn't quite mask systematic sabotage designed to maintain profitable cooperation failure that affected thousands of frontier personnel. Security processing had been complicated unnecessarily. Operational clearance requirements had been multiplied beyond practical necessity, and command coordination had been implemented in ways that created vulnerabilities rather than ensuring adequate protection for joint operations seeking to establish lasting cooperation. The Co-Guardian Protocol protection, Lieutenant Zara explained quietly, creates operational immunity that prevents direct action against us while we investigate. But authenticating our bond publicly will either legitimize our evidence or make us targets for elimination, depending on whether forces protecting profitable frontier sabotage can silence witnesses before truth spreads beyond their operational control. James's achievement system had reached Level 3, inadvertent security revolutionary, while offering helpful suggestions about co-guardian authentication ceremonies that apparently involved public testimony and something called partnership witness integration that sounded either deeply significant or like expensive military relationship counseling with intelligence benefits. Through their investigation, they'd uncovered evidence that frontier cooperation had been deliberately sabotaged to generate ongoing revenue for defense service providers, while sustainable security solutions had been blocked through regulatory requirements that served no purpose except maintaining profitable instability that affected both civilizations' ability to achieve the lasting cooperation that frontier territories needed for successful development. I should mention, James admitted through their connection, that accidentally partnering with alien intelligence officers during routine logistics assignments wasn't covered in supply chain training. My preparation focused more on maintaining efficient operations and preventing supply disruptions, not on exposing interstellar security conspiracies through co-guardian authentication ceremonies that apparently come with operational authority I never expected but might actually help achieve genuine frontier cooperation. Her mental laughter rippled through their shared consciousness like harmonic resonance in perfectly coordinated security systems. Intelligence education includes extensive coverage of co-guardian traditions, but mostly as operational procedures for planned partnership missions. No one expected them to activate through genuine human competence expressed during frontier crisis, involving systematic cooperation sabotage that treats military partnership as a business opportunity rather than a security necessity. The authentication deadline announcement echoed through base communications, while thousands of frontier personnel continued working in cooperation systems that had been corrupted to serve corporate profits, rather than the genuine security partnership that both civilizations needed for successful frontier development and lasting peace that could benefit everyone rather than just defense contractors who profited from systematic instability. The authentication deadline approached with the weight of frontier destiny, painting the base corridors in emergency lighting that James's operational consciousness could only describe as the official color of systematic cooperation sabotage reaching its moment of partnership truth. His caffeine withdrawal had achieved tactical dimensions, manifesting as what felt like his neurons conducting a logistics symposium about the cosmic significance of accidentally partnering with alien intelligence officers through administrative assignment and competent supply chain analysis that exposed systematic fraud. Your species' stimulant dependencies, Lieutenant Zara observed through their bond, her mental voice carrying what had become familiar affection mixed with intelligence curiosity, create fascinating operational resonance patterns. I'm experiencing sympathetic cravings for something you call tactical analysis fuel, which sounds either deeply practical or mildly hazardous for long-term security function during extended counterintelligence operations that somehow never quite succeed in exposing systematic sabotage. The morning confrontation convened in the base's central command center, where representatives from both militaries and various defense contractors gathered with expressions suggesting they were witnessing either revolutionary cooperation breakthrough or spectacular interspecies security disaster that could expose decades of systematic frontier exploitation. James's logistics tablet had evolved beyond simple device into what could only be described as a digital consciousness, dedicated to exposing cooperation corruption with the enthusiasm of artificial intelligence that had discovered military justice. Base Commander Martinez rose with theatrical precision that suggested considerable preparation for this exact confrontation involving systematic partnership sabotage. Esteemed colleagues, we must address the concerning situation involving Captain Reed and Lieutenant Velthane, who appear to have exceeded their co-guardian authority through unauthorized security investigations that could compromise our carefully maintained frontier stability protocols. Alternatively, Lieutenant Zara interjected with intelligence ruthlessness that made operational destruction look like performance art. We address systematic conspiracy between human defense contractors and Zephyrian military suppliers to maintain profitable frontier exploitation through coordinated cooperation sabotage and deliberate security obstruction that has been generating massive profits from artificial instability, while genuine partnership remains systematically undermined. The evidence cascaded across the command center's display systems like digital security revelation, overwhelming damage control efforts with sheer volume of undeniable proof that exposed decades of coordinated frontier exploitation. Financial records revealed Martinez's security division receiving payments coordinated with Kexran's military corporation, all carefully timed around cooperation failures that maximized intervention contracts while preventing sustainable partnership that would eliminate ongoing revenue streams generated from systematic frontier instability. The security incidents, James explained to the increasingly pale-faced assembly, were artificially maintained through coordinated sabotage and operational manipulation that created crises for profit. Frontier cooperation wasn't failing due to interspecies challenges, but profit optimization algorithms designed to extend defense service contracts while preventing genuine partnership that would reduce dependency on expensive intervention services that generated revenue from systematic cooperation failure. The communication logs showed suspicious coordination between supposed security competitors, revealing that frontier partnership systems had been deliberately designed to fail at precisely the rate that justified ongoing military intervention contracts without achieving actual cooperation that would expose their systematic sabotage. Documentation proved that artificial complications had been created through systematic protocol corruption, generating security situations that required expensive military responses instead of sustainable cooperation processes that would actually enhance frontier security. Minister Kexrin's supporters launched their prepared counterattack, claiming human operational manipulation had compromised Lieutenant Zara through species-specific security warfare techniques designed to exploit co-guardian traditions for cooperation advantage. Their arguments evaporated like morning mist when evidence revealed Kexrin's personal financial stakes in continued frontier instability, with defense contracts that somehow never quite completed their security improvement projects, requiring endless additional funding cycles that coincidentally aligned with cooperation failures that maintained profitable crisis levels. The assassination attempt unfolded exactly as their shared awareness had predicted, with explosives targeting command areas, while both human corporate mercenaries and Zephyrian court operatives blamed each other for coordinated attacks designed to eliminate the surviving co-guardians and justify permanent corporate management of frontier security. James and Lieutenant Zara's mental connection allowed them to anticipate and expose the false flag operation in real time, broadcasting intercepted communications that proved both attacks originated from the same conspiracy designed to maintain profitable military instability. Distinguished delegates, Lieutenant Zara announced with crystalline authority that made the command center feel like the cooperation center of the universe. I invoke the right of co-guardian authentication under partnership protocol law. The evidence we present will be broadcast simultaneously to all government databases, frontier advocacy networks, and public security information systems across both civilizations. The moment of cosmic choice arrived with gravitational weight that seemed to bend space around their decision. Lieutenant Zara could authenticate their bond permanently, binding their lives together while seizing base control to broadcast proof that would restore honest cooperation to the frontier territories. Or she could refuse the partnership while allowing them to be framed as saboteurs whose actions justify corporate management of frontier security. James Reed, she said, her voice carrying across the command center with absolute certainty. Your logistics competence and security dedication represent the finest qualities of genuine human service. I choose to honor that integrity with permanent partnership and frontier justice that will ensure no more people suffer from artificial instability created for corporate profit. I accept the co-guardian authentication, James replied, understanding that his frontier assignment had transformed him from a logistics coordinator trying to maintain supply chains into someone willing to challenge the institutional corruption that had been systematically undermining military cooperation for contractor profit. Let the evidence reach everyone who needs genuine frontier security. The quantum broadcast engaged with harmonic resonance that felt like the universe taking a collective sigh of operational relief. Their compiled evidence streamed simultaneously to every accessible database, overwhelming defense contractor damage control with the volume of undeniable documentation. The systematic exploitation died in real time as truth spread faster than any cooperation spin could contain. Evacuation corridors opened to honest operation within hours as artificial barriers dissolved under public scrutiny. Frontier cooperation was restored as sabotage protocols evaporated once their profit motive disappeared. Security systems that had been mysteriously ineffective for months suddenly discovered efficient partnership when defense contractor pricing structures collapsed under transparency requirements. James's achievement system reached mission complete, accidentally revolutionized interstellar frontier cooperation, while offering congratulations on most operationally significant partnership bond in recorded history. The universe's sense of military justice, he realized, sometimes operated through the most unexpected assignment methods. 6 months later, James and Lieutenant Zara oversaw the opening of the first truly integrated frontier command operated jointly by human and Zephyrian officers. Their accidental co-guardian bond having become the foundation for new cooperation protocols that prioritized actual frontier security over defense contractor revenue. The logistics coordinator who'd accepted unexpected partnership had been replaced by someone willing to challenge institutional cooperation manipulation, while their partnership proved that sometimes the most routine assignments, accepted with sincere intention during moments of professional duty, can transform not just individual careers, but the institutional frameworks that determine whether civilizations cooperate successfully or remain trapped in cycles of artificial conflict maintained for corporate profit. Your tactical analysis fuel, Lieutenant Zara observed, watching him prepare their morning ritual, still tastes like liquid determination with delusions of palatability. But it's our liquid determination, James replied, feeling her mental laughter ripple through their permanent bond like harmonic resonance